You know, some people have asked if we really can afford that. Here we are, you know, doing road shows, doing tours, asking people to come to Nigeria and invest. Can we really afford to deny, you know, people, foreign nationals, Britons, visa entry into Nigeria? Is that really in our interest?
Look, you have to respect begets respect. You know, if there are not challenges, you won't say bigger opportunities and greater opportunities. If they tell you that you're not good enough, we don't want you, we're discriminating against you, never ever see yourself as an underdog. And that's what I keep telling our Nigerians in the diaspora when we speak to them. You know what happens? I'll give you an example. You remember some time ago, the UK came up with a list of doctors in the UK that they said they were going to blacklist. Now, Indian doctors came tops, Nigerian doctors came second. But when you look at the statistics, I can't remember the figures now, but let's assume you have 16,000 Indian doctors in the UK, and you say maybe 80 or even 60 did something wrong. What is the percentage? Nigerian doctors, I think, were about 4,960 something, and you said about less than 1% of them did something wrong. And we investigated and found that some of these doctors were about cultural practices, were more about, you know, the differences in the system, not that they were that ethically or morally wrong. You know, now you now tell the world that we're blacklisting your doctors, and we ask them, if you blacklisted 20 doctors out of 4,900 and whatever, what happens to the remaining 4,960 doctors that are working in your country, that are developing your healthcare system, that are doing great things in your country? You know, so do not let us keep looking at ourselves as, oh, we are down there. We are not. We must continue to take pride in ourselves as a nation, as a people. Yes, we do have Nigerians getting into trouble. You do have Nigerians, you know, doing illicit things and all that. But when one Nigerian is in prison, 10,000 Nigerians are doing great things. And I keep saying that we need to celebrate these Nigerians that are doing great things all over the world. And you know, it's enormous. If I'm to write a book on Nigerians doing great things all over the world, I think we'll write 10 editions just like that. So, you know, let's celebrate ourselves as a people. When they tell you you are bad, we accept we are bad. And that is inferiority complex. It is one thing we must get away from and we must not accept.
All right, there's this perspective now, because at the moment we understand that the Prime Minister has slammed the brakes on this policy after, according to that report, after it provoked uproar when the news broke in New Delhi. And then that brings to question the way we respond to some of these matters. It's the same way that they had it, the same way we heard it, they responded, Nigerians are responding, but for some reason, they did say it does not go, I mean, it goes against the economic interest between UK and India. But Nigeria, as the foreign first minister said, we're yet to receive official communication. And then, so comparing the way they responded and the way we're responding, do you think we should have changed that to make our voice heard perhaps earlier than now? Because nobody's talking about the way Nigerians are responding about it on international media.
Well, that has to do with what the international media wants to report. But I know that with the meeting between the Nigerian High Commissioner, the British High Commissioner and the Minister of Foreign Affairs yesterday, they expressed regret for the actions and assured that it was a leaked report. It wasn't something they intended to let out. And I don't know whether India heard before we heard, but I believe the report was leaked at the same time. And about how it was reported, there was uproar in Nigeria. If the international media is not reporting it, the British High Commission, I'm sure, is reporting back to their country. So don't let's judge based on international media. I believe that when this story broke, Nigerians reacted immediately. The Minister of Foreign Affairs was on top of the situation. We were on top of the situation. The House Committee on Foreign Affairs was also on top of the situation. And some senators also gave their reaction, and Nigerians rejected it entirely. So I believe the reaction was immediate and was apt enough. And the Minister of Foreign Affairs has indeed, you know, acted very, very well in this matter, has summoned the High Commissioner, and the High Commissioner has apparently said, well, we regret that action, and we have not communicated with you anyway. And it's not likely that they will ever communicate.
Well, the second part of this is that, I mean, some say, I think it was in 2008, where they tried to impose this £1,000 fine and now they talk about the £3,000. And it just looks as though if this one is suspended, as we understand, who knows what will come up tomorrow. We hear these things, we talk about them, we react, but we never seem to take any concrete steps to send messages to countries out there that, look, this is Nigeria. You don't treat us the way you do or the way you think you would and get away with it. Do we necessarily do anything to change some of these things, the way Nigerians are treated within and outside the country?
Well, I think we are beginning to. But we can do a lot more. And, you know, we keep saying that if you don't respect yourself, nobody's going to respect you. And that is what we try to do when we meet our brothers and sisters in the diaspora. You have to respect yourself first for others to respect you. And I think we're beginning to do that. We did that when South Africa, and there's still a lot more to do with South Africa and all that. And I agree with you. You see, even till just like last week, we got reports of discriminatory tendencies in the Philippines against Nigerians there. And we're going to ask the embassy there exactly what they are doing with that. But the Nigerians there are resisting that, and we're joining them in resisting the information we just got from the Philippines about how they're treating Nigerians. But you see, at the same time, I do agree with you that we need to also check ourselves and some of our excesses. You know, and as a nation, as a people, we just have to, you see, if you stand up for your people, the world will know that you're standing up for your people. Take, for instance, the issue of Brazil. When we went there, and we went to the prison to see our women there. You know, the prison authorities started showing them more respect. I'm not saying they didn't commit a crime, but the fact that we went to see them and we intervened in their matter, we saw that 1 or 2 cases they didn't need to be there, and actions were taken. Little things like jobs they were doing. They were giving them the dirtiest jobs. They were giving them the least paid jobs. In Brazilian prison, they give you work to do. And they got the worst jobs, where they got the least money. By the time they interviewed, they showed them more respect. And it was like, from there on, they started showing those female prisoners more respect, even in prison. And there are many cases like that where we've gone up and said, no, we're not going to tolerate this. And we realized that, you know, they listened to us and stopped doing those things. So as a people, as a nation, we just have to stand up for our citizens. And we need to do a lot more of that. You know, we need to do a lot more of that. You're talking about India, for instance. India has a ministry for overseas Indians. So anything that has to do with Indians abroad, there's a minister who goes there and ensures that the matter is solved immediately. We are just working on having a diaspora commission where, you know, issues about our diasporas can be tackled. And that's different from consular services, from relationship between countries, but where you have a one-stop agency to deal with your people in the diaspora. And we're talking of over 15 million Nigerians in the diaspora. So yes, to some extent I agree with you that we need to respect ourselves, so we should be respected. But I think we're beginning to do that. We can do a lot more, but I believe we're beginning to do that. And I think the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Ashiru, has actually shown a lot of light and direction in that respect.
In respecting ourselves and rebuilding our nation in order to stem the tide of Nigerians who are applying for visas, I know we're doing certain things, and you've talked about some actions that are being taken. But as you said earlier, we've cried this, we've said this over and over again, we need to build our nation. What more can we do, or what should we be doing now, at least before we get to November?
Well, we should keep up speaking against this policy. We should keep up letting them know that it just must not happen. It just must not happen. The issue of Nigerians applying to visas in every country, Switzerland, I don't know what I said this today, we have the largest number of asylum seekers. It's something, there are issues that should worry us and concern us. You know, you have the largest number of asylum seekers. You go to every embassy, you find a long queue of Nigerians wanting to go out. Yes, we need to fix our country. We need to create jobs for our people. When you look at the desperation on the part of the Nigerian youth, you know, there was a boy, there were this couple. The guy studied engineering at the University of Nigeria in Nsukka, and he went in search of a job that he ended up in Libya. He was locked up along with his wife and daughter. By the time we were able to bring him back to Nigeria, and he was telling us the story, I almost wept for him. This is a graduate of engineering who couldn't find a job for 7 years. And somebody said, don't worry, come with me to Libya. And then he got into trouble, and they arrested him with his wife and child. and got locked up till they got lucky and escaped from Gaddafi when we intervened with Serap. There are many instances like that. Look at our girls going to Italy for prostitution. It's desperation, searching for greener pastures. In some cases, greed. But we've met several that you could understand the desperation. Now there must be a lot of awareness programs that really is usually not greener out there. You must know where you're going to. It's bad enough being a legal migrant, not to talk of being an illegal immigrant. We need to educate our young ones in particular about the dangers of illegal migration. Migration will occur, whether legal or illegal, but we can stem the tide of illegal migration by letting them know that this is what you're going to get into. Take Indonesia, for instance. Once you land at the airport, they tell you if you carry dogs, you're going to die. And I'm surprised that despite the fact that we have about 22 Nigerians in Indonesia about to be executed, we still have more Nigerians going there with drugs. So you wonder, really, when that happens, you want people to start begging and begging and begging for this? You know, so we need to understand, you know, what is going to happen when you go to these countries and you get into trouble. There are two groups. One came from Canada, and they've been embarking on some enlightenment programs as to what to expect in certain countries. And I think they've been around for about 2 weeks ago or so, educating our young ones on what to expect. You see, if all states develop their states and jobs are created, more of our young ones will stay back home. You know, one of the guys that came in that we brought back to Nigeria is actually selling Richard cards now in Lagos, and he's feeding his family. His children are going to school, and he's a happy person. He's not rich, but he's comfortable. And from the Richard cards he was selling, he got a little bit of support, and has opened a little shop, and he's okay. He's happy. We had a guy who spent almost 20 years in Cairo jail for nothing really. You know, take Cairo, for instance. They lure our young ones. Okay, you're going to play football. But they get there, nothing is happening. And when they get there, they get into trouble, they are locked up. And when you're locked up, no trial, no investigation, you don't understand the language, you say yes, you're doomed. You say no, you're doomed. And that is it. So there are cases where, in these cases, there are some Nigerians that really shouldn't be in jail. We must intervene on their behalf. It's better if you save one person who should not die or who should not be in jail and let many go, you know, than have that innocent person locked up for nothing. That is what we say. But if we don't hear that and we keep getting into trouble, then you have to face the penalty.
All right, we'll have to let it go there. Thank you very much indeed for speaking with us this morning. Honorable Abike Dabiri-Erewa is Chairman House Committee on Diaspora. Well, back in just a moment.